Latest from the Combine, we showed you the video of Nolan Smith running the second fastest 40-yard dash by a defensive lineman since 2003. I think I already said that. Is there an echo in here? 4.39.40. 4.39. Are you kidding me? For a defensive end? 4.39. Now, again, the only time you run 40 yards in a straight line during a football game is when something very good has happened or when something very bad has happened. And it only happens in your underwear if your pads somehow fly off during the play, which would make it more memorable for reasons other than the fact that the guy ran a 4.39.40. But still, that is some impressive straight line speed for a guy who's going to rely on agility and burst to get around the edge and get after the quarterback, Myles.
Yeah, and you saw that 1.52 early split, which I assume was a little bit faster once they got to the official numbers, but that also is important too because it shows the get off, it shows the burst, it shows what offensive linemen are going to have to contend with when he is coming off of the edge there. And so, yeah, I mean, the 40 time is the 40 time. And, initially it was thought he had the 4.44.40 or something like that. And, the tweets were out there that, he was a little bit upset at that because he was in the 4.3 range when he was practicing for this. So the fact that he actually was in that range, I'm sure made him feel a lot happier. And you know what? It's one of those things that you look at and it's another data point where you can say, all right, this guy has the skills that translate to the NFL level.
Faster 40-yard dash at the Combine than DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley, and Tom Brady. I threw in Tom Brady at the end because really anybody that runs the 40, the Combine, is faster than Tom Brady. But Hopkins, Diggs, and Barkley, the Barkley one surprises me. But 4.39 is blazing. If you get if you're under 4.5, you're pretty freaking fast. You get sub 4.4, that is blazing speed.
Yeah, it is. And, one of the things that I saw, on Twitter last night was that people might think that this is a consequence of them moving the workouts to later in the day. Because earlier in, Combine history, a lot of guys were working out early on in the day, right? Whether it was 8 a.m. in the morning to 11 a.m. in the morning, sometimes around noon. But if you start these workouts at 3 o'clock or later, then you're just kind of already used to the day. Your body is plugged in and it's more of a pro day environment than it would be a combine environment, or at least what we're used to from a combine environment. So I don't know if that's going to affect what the receivers do when they're out there, the running backs, guys like that, maybe even cornerbacks later today. But I think that is something to maybe keep an eye on.
And it's also a testament to the quality of the field at Lucas Oil Stadium, a far cry from what we saw 19 days ago now in Arizona. I guess they didn't overwater Lucas Oil Stadium field. Not that they would. It's artificial turf. And there are situations where artificial turf is better. When you're trying to generate highest possible speed, the artificial stuff is better. It's not great for the joints. The players don't like it. They prefer grass. But fast guys are faster on the fake stuff than they are on the real stuff. And also at 238 pounds, he's the heaviest player to have both a 40-inch plus vertical leap and a sub 4.440 at the Combine since 2003, just edging out DK Metcalf back in 2019. So this guy's phenomenal. And again, it doesn't mean anything when it comes to actual play on the field. We've seen guys do great things at the Combine and not become great players. Vernon Gholston is the latest example of just incredible Combine specimen, but never a player worth noting in the NFL. Still, it's just more data, and it reinforces what people already thought about this guy as a football player. He's got the objective measurables that when you consider height and weight, it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, and, Smith is one of those guys, because I'm not a draft Nick, and when we're in the season, we pay very strong attention to what's going on NFL football fields, and then I sometimes pay cursory attention to what's going on college football. But, being at Georgia, he's a guy I know I watched, but I didn't really know that I was watching. And so he's one of those guys that has kind of been projected to go into the first round, maybe. And, it's interesting that he has dealt with the injury. He's had a torn pec this season, but he looks like he's pretty fully recovered from that, or at least recovered enough that he can work out and really show what he can do. So, I think if there maybe was any pause from NFL teams, given what the injury history was. I mean, you're kind of at least seeing him at his best when it comes to the athleticism in that setting.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.